Okay, let's make sure everything is working here. We're up on Facebook, we are up on Odyssey, and we are up on maybe YouTube. Hello, are we on YouTube? Maybe? Oh, of course, just one second. Let me make sure I got YouTube up and going. Yes, okay. And okay, well, let's see how this works. I am Abe with Mystic Gen Mara. Welcome back. Sorry about the chaos. I'm streaming to 3 platforms tonight, so this is something a little bit new for me. As you pop in one of those 3 places, I do have a little chat window up here on the side through Streamlabs. Drop a hi in the comments just so I know, or in the chat so I at least know what's working and what isn't. And so tonight, this has been my day today, so I do apologize. Must be the changing of the guard in the energetic sense, because it's been interesting. So tonight, I want to first of all apologize. I am a little bit looped right now. I have been working on a new course, you could call it, I guess. It's a meditation series that I'm going to be releasing on my website. It will be probably officially released sometime over the weekend, possibly Monday, just depends on life, because this weekend's going to be busy for me, which it is for all of us at this time of the year. So that's going on, and I've been recording videos, and I've been trying to work on some other side projects, so I'm a little bit tired, but I have some nice chai tea, and we will see where this goes. So, on that note, what I want to do tonight is just kind of go over a little bit of history about Yule. It's not going to be a huge deep dive. There have been a lot of books researched about this. There's entire documentaries about this holiday, and I've linked one of the books in the description, and that's one by Llewellyn, and I really do like their version of the Yule because they tell you about the history but also practices, and I like that kind of stuff. So after we get done with the discussion, I want to do just a quick little Solstice oracle card draw, or tarot card draw, and I'll use my Dragon Tarot. It's one of my newest decks. And then we will go into a guided meditation to just touch into the spirit of the season. So, sorry, I'm gonna take the bah humbug off now. It's been a little toasty to have the hat on. So, anyway, the winter solstice, the shortest solar day of the year, which also means the longest and possibly darkest night of the year as well. Make sure my mic's okay. This is the birth of the sun god that descended into the underworld on Samhain. Or depending on there's another date that some other cultures use, but I prefer Samhain. In ancient times, this was the time when the goddess would rebirth the god of light back into the human world from the underworld. And before we get too Victorian in our thoughts, in the old days, the gods were not like modern day humanity, and it was pretty common to procreate within the family line. And if you want research, take a peek through the Greek gods. There was a lot of unacceptable habits that were being done there. During Yule, gifts were often exchanged in celebration that the sun had returned to the world. The sun and the moon ruled a great deal of the pattern of the ancient life. So the sun basically dying in the Samhain, October 31st, until Yule was a time of slowing down. It was a time of quietness. It was peace. But it was also that was the sun coming back. There was a little bit of a fear and trepidation not usually talked about openly, but it was that whole back of the consciousness, being afraid of the dark concept, which we've all had at some point in our lives. So the sun returning was a time of great joy, like the end of the darkness was at hand, basically. The sun returned to warm and save us from the darkness, so this theme of rebirth and joy was very strong amongst our elders. Even with the rise of Christianity, and trust me, they tried, but they couldn't stop the practice at this time of the year because it was so ingrained into our subconscious. There's something special about the ancient Sabbats. The Yule, Imbolc, Ostara, Beltane, the summer solstice, Lammas, Mabon, and Samhain. There's something special about those times of the years that's ingrained within our very consciousness. And the original Roman Catholic Church, again, this is history, not knocking anybody. They didn't like the way this was happening, so they actually did adjust the time period for their version of Christmas, their version of the sun returning, which was Christ's birth, in their belief, back into the same time period so they could kind of leech away from the winter solstice. Not that it worked, but they tried. So in their belief, the Son of God was returned to save the world as the sun is returning to the sky to save us from darkness. They at least got the pattern of belief right. And again, I'm not knocking anybody. It's kind of interesting because when you look at the time period from a biblical standpoint of when Jesus was actually born, it was like February, March-ish, not December. Just knowing the time period of when the taxes were being done, that type of thing. I've personally found it interesting when you go over the roots of the Christian holiday. You find the ancient Celtic primarily, but also a lot of pagan holiday base roots. Even to the way we celebrate. To me, this shows that our elder traditions are more ingrained in our collective unconscious than anyone really wants to admit even today. Oops. Let me fix something here. My notes are all jumbled together in this last little bit. I spazzed, so I do apologize. There, okay. Many of the ways that we celebrate today comes from the ancient times. The yummy rolled cakes that we have, caramel rolls, Yule log rolls, the chocolate with the kind of a marshmallow cream filling, all of those were originally a log that was only burnt during the Yule season. The practice varied by region. Some would burn it for a set time each night for the 12 nights leading up to Yule, and then save the cooled coals and ashes under the bed for the couple who resided there. Others would burn the entire log on Yule Eve, adding their hopes and prayers on parchments or on bark to the flames as the log was reduced to ashes. Some groups didn't even use a log, but exceptionally large candles. I think it was depending on where you were at in the world. You didn't want a log if you were on, around the equator. It's a little warm there. But they would only light this one particular candle on Yule, and they would allow it to burn completely out. It was made with a specific intention or a ritual for this purpose. And you would whisper your wishes into the candle flame while it burned. And if you look around, they still do a form of this around a lot of people's homes. They'll have the little electric candles that they put in all the windows. It's the same concept as what they used to practice centuries and millennia ago. Another tradition that has been adopted and brought forward is wassailing. Today we would call it caroling. Different terms, different part of the world. But in old times, they would sing in the cold orchards to encourage the trees to produce good fruit and good wine in the coming year. They would at times make a lowercase w wassail, which is a spiced ale or a spiced wine in the orchards, and then take out the wassail bowl out to the neighborhood and offer the drinks to everybody in the neighborhood and usually it was exchanged for small gifts. So it's kind of like a Halloween concept almost, but you're doing it with bringing a spiced beverage and singing to the neighbors as well. And from what I understand, this is where we get a lot of our concepts of mulled wines and mulled ciders and honestly traditional caroling, which I will not start this process in my neighborhood just because it's not my personality, but I feel like we should get back into sharing this with our neighbors, doing these the caroling and going to people's homes and just being more friendly. We've gotten very isolated in the last few years, and I feel like that has actually harmed us a little bit because we're not as friendly as we used to be and not as social. You look back at some of these old times and there were parts of it that were extremely not okay, but the way they used to celebrate as a community to me is so much more important, especially today with everything that's went on and the isolation that we've all kind of been forced into, and now we're starting to come out of that bubble. It's like, let's restart some of these old traditions and shake off the darkness. In the old times, ancient times, whichever, the Celts in particular believed that evergreen trees were a symbol of immortality, since they never did die like other trees, deciduous trees, did in the winter. The Druids believed, excuse me for one second. The Druids believed that decorating an evergreen was a way to bring your wishes into the next year. This was setting yourself up for success. Fruit for abundance, coins for prosperity, nuts for fertility, different symbols like that were all placed on the tree to bring that into the new year. We do the same, not with the same intention, but the same concept with the tinsel. Silver and gold was the primary colors, symbols of prosperity. We used to when I was little, we used to string popcorn and cranberries on big long garlands and wrap those around the tree and around the house. You'd always save the cuttings from the pine tree and you'd put them around on mantles, around windows, and then you'd hang little symbols of memories on the trees, or you'd hang little glass balls all over the trees. And they used to actually have really important meaning to people when they would do this. Other beliefs that were by bringing the tree, which were holly and mistletoe inside, you were inviting the blessings of the fairies, which in the Druid and Celtic world were very real beings and you did not want to make them mad. And the other natural spirits that you were trying to basically welcome into your home and ask for a blessing in a lot of ways. Back in that time, candles were used to represent the sun returning into the world for a brighter hope for tomorrow. So candles were super important, and you'd have them, and I never have been okay with this. It looks cool in the old movies. I don't want it in my house. But they would get the little, I just lost the name of them. They're a form of candle holder that you slide onto the branch of the tree, so you have actual burning candles on your pitchy green tree, and then you'd allow them to burn, and no, I'm good. But they would do things like that to encourage this idea of bringing the sun back, of seeking blessings from the fairies, the gods, the natural energies. And instead of using candles, today we use strings of electric lights, sometimes just white, sometimes multicolored, flashing, and then they have a bunch of really cool ones now that have like the different shapes and elements, so you can really decorate your tree for the intention you want in the coming year. Another good modern day way that we celebrate, if you have the ability, and this to me is kind of fun, just because, especially if you have little ones, so they start to understand how to grow things more, is to get a live tree at a pot. And it doesn't have to be a big one. I mean, you can just get little 12-inch ones. Those are cool. And after the winter is over, keep it alive and water it through the winter, and teach the next generation how to sustain the life of a plant. And then the next spring, you can plant the tree on your property. And in the hole with the root ball, when you're planting it, you can place any hopes, wishes, dreams, symbols of things that you want to continue to grow. You can put them on paper, or you can drop like coins in there for prosperity, however it works for you, and then bury that with the root ball. And this is a way you can continue to spread that joy. And every time you look at that tree, remember the intentions that you set, and remember in the spirit in which you had planted the tree. So and if there's anyone who has questions or comments during the live, go ahead and drop them in the various chats. And if if you comment after the fact, I'll be checking the chats on everything, so I'll come back and answer questions, or however that works for you. So tapping into the spirit of the season, the spirit of Yule, let's see what the Tarot of Dragons has to say for this coming year. Little insight into maybe some lessons that we need to look at, or some energies that we need to understand for the coming months. Or maybe it's things to remind us of how far we've come. It's all dependent. So, the first one we have is the Sun. Well, that's very apropos. So this card is really about tapping into your fire energy, tapping into the deeper part of yourself, but also that return of the sun, the return of life, that life-giving energy. When you look into the card, you see down here in the bottom, you have the two younger dragons who are just ecstatically playing in the sun with all the sunflowers. The parental dragon, I'm not sure if it's male or female, is dancing around the sun, reveling in that returning light, that warmth that heats you deep down inside. There's nothing quite like the heat from the sun. And during these winter months, that sun coming through the window is such a welcome relief. So this card is really about feeling grateful for the joys in life, the things that warm you inside and bring you that pleasure. And then we have the 14 card, sorry, I'm horrible at Roman numerals, which is Temperance. And this is where you start to find that balance. The world that we live in is in chaos, but you can find balance, you can find grounding. You're working with the energy of the sun, finding that joy and finding that gratitude. And in that joy, in that gratitude, you also come into a balance with yourself. You come into an alignment with the holy source of everything, God's source energy. And the Temperance is reminding you, don't be frivolous. Enjoy the simple things in life and really tap into that positive energy of the sun, that warming environment, and find those balances. Find those ways, whether it's, too much work, not enough work, not socializing enough, spending, like I have a problem with in the wintertime, which is isolation. But find the balance. Find the way that makes your life easy. And when you find that balance, it's going to click and you're going to know that that's where you're supposed to be. So the last card that I have pulled, I thought I turned my phone off. Why is it vibrating? Just 1 second, my phone's having an attitude. Okay, there, killed that. The last card that I drew just now is the Four of Cups. So this is a Four of Water. And you have the blue dragons. And when you're working with four, you're bringing in that balancing energy. Sorry. And so you've got earth, air, fire, and water. And what this card is saying is find the emotional balance. You're working with the balancing energy of Temperance. And this card is also bringing forward a new form of balance. So in the coming year, it's really talking about reassessing things in your life, reassessing the way the world is, your individual bubble, is going, and how can you find that balance using the major arcana Temperance, which is the big picture, like across the board, everything in your existence, in your personal world. How are you going to readjust and find balance, and do it with ease and grace. That's the key. But the Four of Cups is coming in to say, but also don't forget to find the balance within. And that's when you start to find that peace. Even in the stressful situations, you find a way to kind of laugh it off or just roll your eyes and be like, I'll get to it. It's not that big of a deal. Because water is really tapping into your emotions. And let's draw one more just to see what's coming up here. I'm not sure why, I just feel drawn to pulling another one. And we have Fortune's Wheel, or I can't remember what this card is in the normal deck, but it's number 10 in the Major Arcana. And this is really, when I look at this card, it's talking about the cyclical nature of life. You have the lions, you have the birds, you have the turtles, you have the unicorns. So you've got all of the elements coming together, and you've got the five primary. The way the card is, you couldn't quite count them, but the dragons that are on the card, and you're bringing everything full circle. So what's coming up is you've got the sun coming back into your life. You're looking for balance, and what you're doing is, as the cycle of life continues on and the changes that inevitably will show up, you're still cycling through. You're bringing that back around. You're really tapping into that fluid, flowing motion of time. And what my guides are telling me right now is that the fluid motion of time is in your favor. So work with the energy, figure out the balance, and connect back into the sun and the light. And that sun can be however you choose, S-O-N or S-U-N, and tap back into that energy and refresh yourself, knowing that this is all part of a pattern. It's all part of a cycle. Things happen for reasons, and right now it just happens to be a little bit of a crazy season. So if you are interested, where are we at? Okay. I would like to do a little guided meditation with you guys. This is not a deep meditation, but it's got a lot. The way I write meditations for guided stuff, I like to bring in as much imagery as I can. I don't have, let me see here. I don't have music available, so there's no background for it, so it's just a spoken meditation. So if you're interested in that, feel free to continue listening, and if not, that's fine too. And settle in and get comfortable. If you happen to be listening to this while you're driving a car or something, skip this part and come back to it later. And once you get comfortable and settle in, start to breathe deeply, breathing in through your nose, filling your abdomen and belly, and out through your mouth, allowing any stress or tension to melt off your shoulders and neck. Close your eyes and settle in, breathing in a beautiful, cheery red light, and exhale, releasing any stress or tension, allowing it to just flow out with your breath. Take another deep breath in, breathing in beautiful white light. And exhale, feeling your muscles let go and your body settle into the seat you're in. Take another nice deep breath in, breathing in vibrant, green, healthy light. And exhale, releasing anything that's ready to let go, finding peace and balance. Continue breathing deeply in through your nose and out through your mouth, allowing the stress of the day, of the week, of the year melt away and flow out through your breath and out through the soles of your feet. And as you're breathing slowly and quietly, bring your attention to the center of your mind. When you reach the center of your mind, you're in a great room. This is your thinking mind, the crossroads of all information that comes into your world and goes out through your mouth and artistic abilities. When you're in the center point of your mind, look around and see a great oak door. Approach this door and watch as it silently swings open, bringing a gust of chill wind with a little bit of snow swirling around you. You step out into the snow and walk towards the gateway of winter. Through the great stone archway, you see an evergreen tree, and people are already gathering there. You speed your steps to get into the light and warmth of the stone circle that surrounds the tree. The overcoat that you didn't even realize you had is keeping out the snow and the cold, but you'd rather be with the other celebrants. You step into the circle amongst the atmosphere of joy, laughter, and chatter all around you. There's a great bonfire off to one side. There's tables with food and drink everywhere around. Giant cauldrons full of warm, spiced beverages are interspersed amongst the tables. The night outside the circle is dark. The moon is in the sky and the stars are twinkling a chill light. Deep down inside, you feel the elder gods drawing near, the goddesses in their glory coming to the circle. You look around and notice that as more people show up, the stone circle is growing to accommodate the new people. As you're visiting and chatting, warmed by the fires, you notice in the eastern part of the circle, the stones seem to be growing and separating, creating a giant door opening to the stars. The elder gods and ancient goddesses are coming. They come to rejoice of the return of the Sun Lord from the darkness of the underworld. The Lady, the Mother Goddess of all, the highest frequency of the Divine Feminine, comes into the circle, carried in a sleigh, pulled of course by reindeer. She is full and pregnant, ready to give birth, birthing the sun back into the world. She smiles as people walk up to her and take her hand, wishing her well, thanking her for the beauty that she has graced us with. A hush falls on the crowd as she clutches her belly and cries out. All creation comes with growing pains, and the Lord's return is a joy, but there is a pain associated. The lights and the firelight dims as she pushes. Sweat pours from her forehead. The darkness creeps in and gets more intense as she takes a deep breath. Suddenly, light explodes from all corners, and the newly birthed Lord of the Sun has been born, returning the land to the brightness of the sun. The fire roars to life with joy. All candles burn brighter than they were burning before. Any tension that was being felt breaks with a great cheer, and the crowd explodes into song. You feel alive, more alive than you've ever felt before. You see the young sun baby cloaked in light. You know the darkness has been defeated for another year, and that hope and joy has returned. Various languages begin to raise their voices in a louder song. The gods and goddesses from around the universe join in. Deep inside, you feel a song bubbling up, spilling out through your lips. A song as old as time, straight from your heart and your soul. You sing with the joy of the returned Lord and the returning of the light. The young God has returned to us, saving us from the cold and the dark, bringing life back to the world. The mother of all rests in her sleigh, the Lord tucked warmly in her arms. And as these things tend to happen, it's time for the mother of all to return to her place in the sky. The sleigh leaves quietly through the circle, returning the lady to her place. The other gods and goddesses, the angels and beings, bid their goodbyes and leave through the eastern gate as well. The stone circle starts to return to the original size. Various people are telling their friends goodbye as they leave. You bid your farewells to the group you're with, and you feel that tug to return. You leave through the gateway of winter, carrying the joy and the warmth of the light for the new year in your heart. You walk across the snowy plain, marveling at the new star in the sky, the brilliant sparkling, and the almost joyful light that streams from the moon. You walk back across the crunchy snow to the great oak door. You step back into the door into the center of your mind, the creative core of your brain. The great oak door slowly closes behind you, and you start to become aware of the warmth within your body, and you breathe in, breathing in that spice of the season, the cinnamon vanilla smells. Exhaling, feeling the calm from what you just witnessed flowing through your body. Take another deep breath in, breathing in pine and cinnamon. Exhale, feeling safe and content, back into the body, back into your body, into the normal everyday world. Take another nice deep breath in, feeling yourself anchored again in your body, wiggling your fingers and toes as you exhale. And whenever you're ready, you may open your eyes. And that's kind of the end of my Yule plan. So, if you have any experiences you would like to share, go ahead and share those in the comments or the chat. Let's see what we got going on here. And other than that, I wish you all a very blessed Yule and a happy winter solstice. And for those traveling during this time of the year, many safe travels and returns. And we will talk to you again in a future video.